Are you ready to find out what's really happening in Washington? Because what just took place with the Commanders is going to change everything you thought you knew about this season. We have explosive moves in the roster, a rookie causing total hysteria, and a situation with Adam Peters making moves like never before. Don't move, because what I'm about to tell you is going to leave every fan speechless. We're talking about decisions that will define the future of this franchise for the next 5 years. Peters isn't playing. Quinn isn't experimenting. They're building something real here in the DMV, and after Monday Night Football against Cincinnati, we have all the clues we needed to understand where this team is heading. Look, I'm going to be brutally honest with you about what we just witnessed on this Monday Night Football. Bobby Price, that 6-year veteran we all thought had his spot secured due to experience and system knowledge, just had one of the most devastating meltdowns I've seen in preseason. And I'm telling you this without exaggeration for a second. When Adam Peters sees something like that, there's no turning back. Let's start from the beginning. Price came to Washington after Norfolk State, always seen as a developmental player, someone with potential who needed time to grow. Last year, he managed to stay on the roster, which was an achievement considering how competitive each spot is in the modern NFL. But this Monday Night Football against the Bengals was completely different. From the moment Price stepped on the field, he looked lost. I'm not talking about small mistakes or adjustments any player might have in preseason. I'm talking about a total collapse of fundamentals. Mitchell Tinsley. And here's the part that hurts me most as a fan, is a player we cut last year, a guy who couldn't make our roster in 2024, who stayed at home watching TV while we played, and who now is with Cincinnati. This same player tortured Price all night long. Every route Tinsley ran, Price was late. Every snap, he was out of position. Every time Cincinnati's quarterback looked towards his side, they knew exactly where to attack. Price had become the most obvious weak link in the entire defense. But here's what truly worries me. It wasn't just one play. It wasn't just two mistiming. It was systematic. Price was constantly a yard off pace, a step behind in every coverage. His breaks in man coverage were late. His zone awareness non-existent. I reviewed the tape frame by frame, and what I saw left me shocked. In one specific play in the second quarter, Price had coverage over a slot receiver. The quarterback did. A hard count. Price moved before the snap, almost giving a false start to the defense, recovered poorly, and ended up giving the receiver 5 yards of separation on a simple, quick slant. You know what that tells me? It's not just a problem of athleticism or talent. It's a mental issue. It's a fundamentals issue. And those are problems that don't get fixed in 2 weeks of training camp. The situation becomes even more grave when we consider cornerback depth was already questionable before this disaster. We have Marshawn Lattimore as our CB1, obviously. Benjamin St-Juste has been solid in CB2. Rookie Mike Sainristil still looks promising. Emmanuel Forbes, despite last year's struggles, still has potential. That leads us to 5 spots that seem practically locked. And before Price took the field against Cincinnati, he was competing for those last spots on the depth chart and needed a perfect performance to convince the coaches he deserved to stay. Instead, he gave us the exact opposite. Peters and Quinn have shown they have no patience for mediocrity. There are no sentimentalities, no spaces for players who can't execute when the lights are brightest. And here's something that worries me greatly about the entire defensive secondary. Price wasn't the only cornerback that struggled that night. We had multiple breakdowns in coverage, multiple missed assignments. That tells me our depth pieces aren't ready for primetime. Peters is going to have to make drastic decisions very soon. I'm already seeing reports that the team is evaluating free agents for possible tryouts. When that happens, and it will, in the coming days, Bobby Price will probably be the first name packing up. The reality is this. Price had his opportunity on the biggest stage of preseason, Monday Night Football, with millions of people watching, and failed spectacularly. In a league where every opportunity could be your last opportunity, you can't afford performances like that. I respect what Price has tried to do in his career, but the business side of the NFL is unforgiving. Adam Peters isn't building a charity case. He's building a championship contender. And championship teams have no room for players who become liabilities when stakes are high. Now let's talk about something that has the entire DMV completely revolutionized, which I believe will be remembered as one of the most important turning points in Adam Peters' era. Dan Quinn practically confirmed that Brian Robinson Jr. is on a trade market, and I'm going to tell you why this isn't just good news. It's absolutely great for this franchise's future. First, let's talk about how we got here, because the whole story is fascinating. Robinson wasn't dressed against Cincinnati on Monday night, and that was the visual confirmation we were all waiting for. But the rumors had been swirling for days. Quinn, and this is something I greatly respect about him, was completely transparent with the team about the situation. He gathered the players and explained that there are many moving parts during this time of year. Didn't try to hide it, didn't try to sugarcoat it, straightforward leadership. But let's get to the facts that no one wants to admit publicly, because there is the truth that completely justifies this decision. In 3 NFL seasons, Brian Robinson Jr. has never rushed for over 800 yards in a single season. Never. His career high is 797 yards in 2023. More concerning, he's never played a complete season. Injuries have been a constant factor in his career. In 2022, obviously he had the shooting incident that sidelined him early in the season. In 2023, multiple minor injuries. This year, we're already seeing load management in preseason. Warren Sharp, one of the most respected analysts concerning advanced metrics, pointed out something devastating about Robinson's 2024 season. His efficiency numbers were well below average for running backs with similar workloads. He wasn't creating explosive plays, wasn't breaking tackles at a high rate. And here's something I fascinate about football analytics. Robinson practically doesn't exist as a pass-catching threat. In an era where every successful offense needs versatile running backs who can contribute both in the ground game and passing game, Robinson is almost exclusively a one-dimensional player. I compared his numbers with other running backs in similar contract situations, and the results are eye-opening. Players like Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, all of them in recent contract years, produce significantly more value in both rushing and receiving. Now, I don't want anyone to think I'm disrespecting Brian Robinson Jr. as a person. This man's story is absolutely inspirational. The guy took 2 gunshots and still made it back to the field in his rookie season. That requires a level of mental toughness most of us will never understand. His story resonated with the entire DMV area. Fans connected emotionally with him. He became a symbol of resilience and determination. All of that is real. All of that matters, and all of that deserves enormous respect. But, and this is a huge but, Adam Peters wasn't hired to make sentimental decisions. He was hired to build a championship-level organization, and championship. Organizations make tough decisions based on production, not on feel-good stories. Robinson is in the final year of his contract, earning approximately $3.4 million this season. That amount isn't prohibitive for teams needing veteran running back depth, making him an attractive trade target. And do you know what the most exciting aspect of this situation is? Robinson being traded opens the doors entirely for the future of this backfield to take shape immediately. Peters and Quinn have been evaluating younger talent, and they found something special. I also have to mention something many fans aren't considering: the salary cap implications. That $3.4 million Robinson is earning could be redirected towards other positions of need. Maybe linebacker depth, maybe safety coverage, maybe additional pass rush help. In a league where every dollar matters, where successful teams find value in every position, keeping a running back not producing at an elite level while earning significant money doesn't make financial sense. Peters has shown throughout his tenure that he prioritizes players who fit the scheme and produce at high levels relative to their cost. Robinson, unfortunately, no longer fits that criteria based on his recent production and injury history. This decision also sends a message to the entire locker room. Nobody's job is safe based on past performance or emotional attachment. You produce, you stay. You don't produce at the level we need, we'll find someone who will. That mentality is exactly what championship organizations need. No sacred cows, no untouchable players based on anything other than current and future production potential. And here we get to the absolute bomb that has the entire NFL looking towards Washington with a mix of shock, envy, and pure amazement. Jackery Krosky Merritt, that 7th-round rookie that 3 months ago practically nobody knew outside of hardcore college football scouts, just exploded on Monday Night Football in a way I literally have never seen in my years following this sport. Let's start from the beginning of this incredible story because every detail makes it more fascinating. Krosky Merritt comes from Arizona, where he had a college career that was promising yet complicated. Eligibility issues cost him most of his final season, which is exactly why he dropped to the 7th round. NFL teams are extremely cautious about players with any type of red flags, even administrative ones. Krosky Merritt hadn't played consistently in his senior year, which meant scouts didn't have sufficient recent tape to properly evaluate his development. But here is where Adam Peters' scouting acumen becomes absolutely brilliant. While other teams were scared away by the eligibility concerns, Peters and his team were able to see beyond that situation and focus on pure talent evaluation. This young man, who by the way prefers to be called Bill, and I absolutely love that nickname, had already shown flashes against New England in the preseason opener. 24 rushing yards and 7 carries might not sound spectacular on paper, but anyone who watched that game closely saw something different. His vision was exceptional. His patience behind the line was beyond his years. Most importantly, his acceleration through holes was elite level. Those are traits that can be taught. Either you have them or you don't. But against Cincinnati on Monday night, football was a completely different level. This wasn't just a good performance. This was a statement game that literally changed everything about how we view this backfield. The sequence started innocuously. Washington's first drive, Krosky Merritt didn't touch the ball at all. Jaden Daniels marched the offense down the field and scored on a 14-yard scramble. Standard stuff, nothing unusual. The second drive was where everything changed. Krosky Merritt was inserted as the featured back, and I immediately knew we were about to see something special. You could feel it in his body language and how he was carrying himself. First carry, 5 yards through a decent-sized hole. Solid, professional, nothing flashy. Then Josh Johnson found Jalen Lane to move the chains just outside the red zone, setting up perfectly for what came next. And then it happened. The play that has everyone in the NFL talking. Krosky Merritt took the handoff. Initially looked like a standard inside run, but then he saw something other players wouldn't have seen. He hit the hole with explosive acceleration. I'm talking about 0 to 60 speed you usually only see from elite NFL talent. But more importantly, once he got through that first level, his downfield vision was absolutely phenomenal. He made 2 defenders miss with subtle moves that looked effortless but were actually incredibly sophisticated. No big jukes, no unnecessary dancing, just pure efficiency of movement. And then boom! 27 yards later, he's in the end zone and the entire stadium is going absolutely crazy. I watched that play probably 20 times. And every time I see something new that impressed me, his patience before hitting the hole, his acceleration through contact, his vision to find the secondary gaps, his finishing speed to outrun the pursuing defenders. But here's what made it even more impressive. This wasn't against second or third string defenders. Cincinnati had several starters still on the field during that drive. These weren't practice squad players. These were NFL level athletes who got completely outclassed. The rest of his night was more workmanlike but equally impressive. 11 carries for 46 rushing yards and that touchdown plus 2 receptions for no gain. In terms of pure statistics, maybe not overwhelming, but anyone who watched could see the potential. During the second half, playing behind Washington's backup offensive lineman, he had significantly less room to work with. The holes weren't there, the blocking wasn't consistent, but he still showed excellent vision and patience. No negative plays, no fumbles, no mental mistakes. Do you know why Krosky Merritt really dropped to the 7th round? It wasn't just eligibility issues. It was also because he didn't get invited to the NFL Combine, which meant that teams didn't have standardized measurements and testing numbers to compare him against other prospects. But Peters' scouting department clearly did their homework. They attended his pro day, they had private workouts, they extensively interviewed coaches and teammates. They saw past the administrative complications and focused on pure football ability. His Shrine Bowl performance was absolutely spectacular and should have been a bigger red flag for other teams. MVP honors after rushing for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns against the best senior college talent in the country. That's not luck. That's elite playmaking ability. I also have to mention something that makes this story even more incredible. Krosky Merritt's work ethic during training camp has been legendary among teammates and coaches. First one in, last one out. Constantly studying film, constantly working on technique. Veterans on the team have mentioned his preparation habits already at a professional level. He's not acting like a 7th round pick who's just happy to be there. He's acting like someone who expects to contribute immediately. Quinn and the coaching staff clearly saw enough during camp practices to know that Robinson being traded wouldn't leave them short-handed. They had already identified Krosky Merritt as someone capable of handling significant responsibility. And you know what has me absolutely convinced this kid is special? It's not just the physical tools, although those are obviously impressive. It's his football intelligence. The way he processes information, makes decisions, adapts to different blocking schemes. Watching him interact with veteran players, you can see he commands respect immediately. That's extremely rare for a 7th round rookie. Usually those guys are trying to prove they belong. Krosky Merritt carries himself like someone who already knows he belongs. Fans across the country will learn the name Jackery Bill Krosky Merritt very soon. The hype train officially left the station after that Monday Night Football performance, and I guarantee you this is only the beginning. This young man could very well be the steal of the entire draft class, not just for the Commanders, but for the whole league. When teams are kicking themselves for passing on him numerous times, Peters is going to look like an absolute genius. And here's something that has me extremely excited. If Krosky Merritt can produce at this level during his rookie season, imagine what he could become with a full off-season of NFL training, with a better understanding of the playbook, with more chemistry with the offensive line. We might be looking at the foundation of our ground game for the next 5 to 7 years. A player who costs almost nothing against the salary cap, but produces at a level comparable to players earning millions more. That's how championship teams are built, finding incredible value in unexpected places. Commanders fans, after everything we've analyzed in these nearly 45 minutes of deep dive analysis, I need to know your opinions about everything we've covered today. Do you think Adam Peters is making the right decisions with these aggressive moves? Because what we're seeing here isn't just normal roster management. This is a complete philosophical shift in how this organization approaches talent evaluation and roster construction. Does Bobby Price deserve another chance? Or is it time to cut ties completely? Remember, this is a 6-year veteran who supposedly understands NFL systems, but just had one of the worst individual performances I've seen in recent memory. At what point do you say enough is enough? Should Brian Robinson Jr. stay for his incredible story with the franchise and everything he represents for the community? Or do championship aspirations require making tough decisions regardless of emotional attachments? This is the kind of decision that separates good organizations from great ones, and probably most exciting of all. How excited are you about the potential of Jackery Bill Krosky Merritt? Are we looking at a generational steal, or am I getting caught up in preseason hype? I want to hear your honest assessments after witnessing what he did against Cincinnati. This community we've built here is so much more than just a YouTube, our channel. We're a family that bleeds burgundy and gold through every season, through every heartbreak, through every moment of hope and excitement. Every comment you leave, every debate we have, every opinion we share makes us stronger as fans and as people who genuinely care about this team's success. Your perspectives challenge me to think differently, to consider angles I might have missed. If this analysis made you think differently about these roster moves, if it got you excited about what Peters and Quinn are building, if it made you appreciate the complexity of NFL decision making, please let me know in the comments below. And if you aren't subscribed yet, seriously, what are you waiting for? These moves from Peters are just the beginning of what's going to be an absolutely historic season for this franchise. We're going to cover every single move, every practice report, every injury update, every rumor, every development affecting this team. We're the most passionate and informed Commanders community on all of YouTube. Together, we'll follow every step of this journey that could potentially transform everything about how we view this franchise for decades to come. Peters and Quinn aren't just building a team. They're building a culture, a philosophy, a sustainable model for success. And remember, no matter what happens, no matter which decisions turn out right or wrong, we're in this together. Hail to the Redskins! Hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell, and let's keep building the strongest Commanders community on the internet. The future is bright and we're just getting started.